The ISV Meridian dropped out of hyperspace above Velkar Prime, and Commander Marcus Cole felt his stomach twist. Not from the jump. He had done hundreds of those. It was the view that got him. The planet below was beautiful in a way that made Earth look plain. Purple oceans covered most of the surface. White cities floated on massive platforms above the water. The whole world seemed to glow with soft light, even on the night side. First time seeing it? Ambassador Chun asked from beside him. Marcus nodded. Pictures don't do it justice. Nothing about the Valkyrie does, Chun said. Remember that when we're down there. Everything means something. Every gesture. Every word. Every silence. Marcus had read the briefings. The Valkyrie were one of the oldest species in the known galaxy. Their empire covered 40 star systems. They had been traveling between stars when humans were still figuring out fire. And they had rules. So many rules. The shuttle ride down was smooth. Marcus sat with his security team. 6 soldiers in total. They carried sidearms only. The Valkyrie had been very clear about that. Heavy weapons were an insult to their hospitality. Marcus thought that was stupid. But he kept that opinion to himself. The landing platform sat on top of the royal palace. Marcus stepped out and felt the warm air hit his face. It smelled sweet, like flowers he had no name for. Guards in silver armor lined both sides of a long walkway. They were tall. All Valkyrie were tall. 7 feet, at least. Their skin had a strange quality. It shifted colors in the light. Blue, purple, sometimes silver. And there were patterns on their skin. Glowing lines that moved and changed. Bioluminescence, the briefings had called it. The patterns showed emotion. Marcus had memorized what some of them meant. Blue for calm. Red for anger. Green for interest, though most of the guards showed blue. Bored, probably dot at the end of the walkway, stood a single Valkyrie woman. She was younger than the guards. Her skin was pale purple, and her glowing patterns were a soft white. Her eyes were large and violet. She looked at the human delegation like someone might look at a stain on their shirt. "I am Princess Alendra," she said. Her English was perfect but cold. "7th daughter of Queen Seratai. I will be your guide during your stay." Ambassador Chun bowed. Marcus and his team did the same. "We are honored, Princess," Chun said. "The honor is adequate," Alendra replied. "Follow me." Marcus caught the look Chun gave him. 7th daughter. In Valkyrie society, that was almost an insult. The queen had sent her least important child to handle the humans. It was a message. You are not important enough for my attention. Marcus didn't care about politics. He cared about keeping people alive. So he watched the shadows. He watched the guards. He watched the doorways they passed. The palace was enormous. White stone. High ceilings. Everything was clean and bright. Valkyrie servants moved silently through the halls. They all wore simple gray clothes. None of them looked at the humans. The throne room was the largest space Marcus had ever seen. The ceiling was so high it disappeared in the soft light. The floor was white marble without a single mark on it. And at the far end, on a throne made of what looked like crystal, sat Queen Seratai. She was old. Marcus could tell that much. But she didn't look weak. She looked like a blade that had been sharpened for 300 years. Her skin was deep blue, almost black. Her bioluminescent patterns were gold and silver, moving in slow, complex shapes. Her eyes were the same violet as her daughter's, but there was nothing soft in them. "Humans," she said. Her voice filled the room without effort. "You have traveled far." Ambassador Chun stepped forward and bowed deeply. "Your Majesty, we bring greetings from Earth and the United Human Colonies. We hope this meeting will begin a new era of friendship between our peoples." The Queen smiled. It did not reach her eyes. We shall see. The dinner that night was held in a grand hall next to the throne room. Long tables filled with food that Marcus didn't recognize. The Valkyrie nobles sat in order of rank. Humans were placed near the middle. Not the best seats. Not the worst. Marcus didn't eat much. He was working. His eyes moved constantly. Doorways, windows, the servants moving between tables, the guards standing along the walls. Something felt wrong. He couldn't explain it. 20 years of military service had taught him to trust his instincts. And right now, his instincts were screaming. Princess Alindra sat near the human delegation. She had barely spoken during dinner. Her pattern showed pale blue. Boredom or discomfort? Maybe both. Marcus noticed a servant moving toward her. Something about the way he walked. Too direct. Too focused. Then the servant's hand moved to his belt. Marcus didn't think. He moved. He crossed the distance in 3 steps. He hit the princess hard, wrapping his arms around her and pulling her down. They crashed to the floor together. The plasma bolt passed through the space where her head had been dot. Then chaos. More shots. Screaming. The guards finally moved, but they were slow. Too slow. More attackers appeared from nowhere. 5, 6. All of them firing at the royal table. Marcus covered Alindra with his body. He felt impacts on his back. His armor held. Mostly. Something punched through, and he felt fire spread across his shoulder. He didn't move. He kept her down. He kept her safe. The fight lasted maybe 30 seconds. It felt like hours. When it stopped, Marcus lifted his head. Dead attackers on the floor. Guards everywhere. Nobles crying and shouting. He tried to stand. His legs didn't work right. Human, Alindra said. Her voice was strange. Shocked. Marcus looked down at her. Her patterns had changed. They weren't white anymore. They were gold. Bright, burning gold. He didn't know what that meant. He just knew something important had happened. Then the pain hit him all at once. His back, his shoulder. The floor was wet. He looked down and saw red spreading across the white marble. Human red. His legs gave out. The last thing he saw before darkness took him was Alindra's face. Her violet eyes were wide. Her golden patterns were pulsing. And behind her, Queen Suratai had risen from her throne. The queen was staring at her daughter's glowing skin, and for the first time in perhaps 100 years, the queen looked surprised. Marcus woke up in stages. First came sound. Soft humming. Voices speaking a language he didn't know. Then came feeling. He was lying on something soft. His body felt strange. Light. Wrong. He opened his eyes. The ceiling above him was white and curved. Soft blue light came from everywhere and nowhere. Medical equipment surrounded his bed, but none of it looked familiar. No screens. No wires. Just smooth shapes that pulsed with gentle colors. He's awake. Marcus turned his head. Ambassador Chun sat in a chair beside his bed. The man looked tired, worried. How long? Marcus asked. His voice came out rough. 4 days. 4 days. Marcus tried to sit up. His body responded, but slowly. He touched his shoulder where the plasma bolt had gone through. Nothing. No wound. No scar. Just smooth skin. Valkyrie medicine, Chun said. They're centuries ahead of us. You were dying when they brought you in. Now you're better than before. They even fixed that old knee injury from Mars. Marcus flexed his leg. Chun was right. The constant ache was gone. What happened? Marcus asked. The princess. She's alive. Because of you. Chun paused. He looked uncomfortable. Marcus, we have a problem. Over the next hour, Chun explained everything. The attackers were Kelvoth separatists, a faction that wanted to break away from the Velkhari Dominion. Killing a princess would have started a succession crisis, maybe a civil war, but that wasn't the problem. The problem was gold. Among the Velkhari, their patterns mean everything, Chan said. And gold is special. Sacred, even. When their patterns turn gold in the presence of someone, it means a soul bond has formed. It's biological, involuntary. It marks that person as their destined life mate. Marcus stared at him. You're telling me the princess is bonded to me? Because I tackled her? No. Because you risked your life for her. Because you protected her without asking anything in return. Something in Velkhari biology responds to that. It's happened in their history before. But never to an outsider. Never to an alien. Marcus let out a long breath. Can she just ignore it? No. A soul bond is the highest form of connection in their society. To reject, it brings enormous shame. To the bonded person and their entire family. The princess might survive the scandal. Her mother's position as queen probably wouldn't. So what? I'm supposed to marry her? I don't even know her. Chung hesitated. That would be one option. But there's another complication. I've been summoned to explain Velkhari law to you. An hour later, Marcus walked through the palace halls. He wore simple human clothes. Black pants. Gray shirt. He had refused the formal robes they offered. He wasn't going to pretend to be something he wasn't. Velkhari guards escorted him. They looked at him differently now. Before, they had ignored him. Now they watched him with something like suspicion. Or wonder. Maybe both. The throne room was empty except for Queen Saratai. She sat on her crystal throne, perfectly still. Her golden and silver patterns moved slowly across her skin. Approach, she said. Marcus walked forward. He stopped at the proper distance. 10 feet from the throne. Close enough to hear. Far enough to show respect. He had learned that much. Commander Marcus Cole, the Queen said. You have created quite a situation. I was doing my job, Your Majesty. Your job was to protect your ambassador. Not my daughter. She was in danger. I reacted. The Queen tilted her head. Her patterns shifted slightly. Blue with hints of green. Calm but interested. Do you understand what has happened? What my daughter's gold patterns mean. Ambassador Chun explained. Then you understand that you now have a claim on her. And she on you. The Queen paused. But there is something else. Our law has many layers. When an unbonded male saves royal blood, the highest-ranking eligible female may claim him for herself. It is an old law, rarely used, but still valid. Marcus felt cold spread through his chest. I don't understand. My daughter is bonded to you, but I'm not bonded to anyone. I have not been for 200 years, and I outrank my daughter. She stood. Even from 10 feet away, Marcus had to look up at her. She moved down the steps from her throne, slow, graceful, dangerous. You are interesting, human. Your species lives such short lives. 80 years. 90 if you are lucky. Yet, in that brief moment of existence, you produce someone willing to die for a stranger. Someone who moved when my own guard stood frozen. She stopped in front of him. Her eyes looked into his. Marcus did not look away. My daughter wants you because her biology tells her to, the Queen said. But I want you because you might be useful. A human consort. A bridge between our peoples. A symbol that the Velkhari Dominion is ready to embrace new allies. And if I refuse both? The Queen smiled. Cold. Sharp. Then you insult the royal house. You shame my daughter publicly. You damage relations between our peoples for generations. And you will never leave this planet. Marcus felt anger rise in his chest. So I'm a prisoner. You are an opportunity. For yourself. For your people. The question is whether you are smart enough to see it. She turned and walked back to her throne. She sat down and looked at him like he was a puzzle she was trying to solve. I will give you a choice, Commander. You may have my daughter. Bond with her. Become her consort. Live a quiet life in her shadow. She paused. Or you may have my throne. Bond with me. Become my consort. Stand beside me as I rule 40 star systems. Help shape the future of this galaxy. Marcus said nothing. His mind was racing. You have 30 cycles to decide, the Queen said. Use them wisely. During that time, you will live as a guest noble. You will learn our ways, and you will come to understand what each choice truly means. And if I still refuse after 30 days, the Queen's patterns flickered. Something dark passed through them. Then I will decide for you, and you will not like my decision. She waved her hand. The audience was overdone as the guards led Marcus away. He felt eyes on his back. Not the Queen's. Someone else. He turned his head slightly. Princess Alindra stood in a shadowed doorway. Her patterns were still gold, but her face showed something else. Fear, hope, anger. She looked at Marcus for a long moment. Then she turned and vanished into the shadows. Marcus kept walking. He had 30 days to figure out how to escape a choice that had no good answers. 30 days to survive in a court full of people who saw him as either an opportunity or he had faced worse odds before, but not by much. Marcus spent his first week as a guest noble learning how to survive. The Valkyrie Court was a battlefield. No one used weapons. They used words, gestures, silences. A wrong look could destroy a family's reputation. A wrong word could end a career that had lasted centuries. Marcus didn't understand most of it, but he understood threats. And the court was full of them. Princess Valthara was the worst. She was the Queen's eldest daughter, first in line for the throne. She had her mother's cold beauty and sharp eyes. Her patterns were always controlled. Perfect blue, never showing what she really felt. She hated Marcus. He could tell, not because she showed it, because she showed nothing at all when she looked at him. That kind of control took effort. That kind of effort meant she was hiding something. The human thinks he belongs here, Valthara said one evening at dinner. She wasn't speaking to Marcus. She was speaking about him, loud enough for everyone to hear. It's almost charming, like watching a pet learn tricks. The nobles around her laughed. Soft, polite laughter. The kind that cut deeper than any insult. Marcus kept eating. He had learned that responding to bait made things worse. Alindra sat across the table. Her patterns flickered between gold and angry red. But she said nothing. In the Valkyrie court, a seventh daughter did not challenge the heir. Later that night, Marcus walked through the palace gardens. He couldn't sleep. Too many thoughts. Too many problems without solutions. He heard footsteps behind him. Light, careful, not trying to hide, but not announcing themselves either. You shouldn't be out here alone, Alindra said. Marcus turned. She stood in the moonlight. Her patterns glowed soft gold in the darkness. I can take care of myself. Not here. You don't know the dangers. Then tell me. She hesitated. Then she walked closer. They stood together in the garden, surrounded by flowers that glowed faintly in the night. My sisters hate you, she said. All of them. Valthara most of all. You're a complication. A variable they didn't expect. Some of them will try to use you. Others will try to destroy you. And you? Her pattern shifted. Gold with hints of something else. Something vulnerable. I didn't ask for this bond, she said. I didn't want it. You're an alien. Your species is young and strange, and you'll be dead before I finish my first century of life. This shouldn't have happened, but it did. Yes, she looked at him. Her violet eyes were hard to read. And now we're both trapped. They talked for hours that night. Alindra told him about her life. Growing up as the seventh daughter, always overlooked, always underestimated. She was smart, maybe the smartest of all her sisters. But in Valkyrie society, birth order meant everything. She would never rule. She would never matter. Marcus told her about Earth, about his ex-wife, about his daughter Elena, who was 13 now and probably didn't remember what he looked like, about the wars he had fought, the friends he had lost. You carry much pain, Alindra said. Everyone does. Some people are just better at hiding it. She almost smiled. Almost. The assassination attempt came 3 days later. Marcus was walking to a meeting when a servant stepped out of a doorway. The knife moved fast, professional, aimed at his throat. Marcus caught the wrist, twisted. The servant gasped as his arm broke. The knife clattered to the floor. Guards rushed in seconds later. They took the servant away. He would be questioned. He would probably disappear. Marcus knew he wouldn't talk. Whoever sent him had planned for this. Alindra appeared at his door that evening. You fought well, she said. I've had practice. There will be more attempts. My sisters are testing you, seeing how you respond, how strong you are. Let them test. She stepped closer. Her patterns were gold again. Always gold when she was near him. You don't understand. They won't stop. They'll keep pushing until you break or until you die. The only way to survive is to become too valuable to kill. How do I do that? I don't know. No human has ever been in this position before. Marcus thought about that. She was right. He was in new territory. The rules he knew didn't apply here. But some things were universal. In every fight, every war, every political game, one rule stayed the same. Information was power. He started asking questions. The servants wouldn't talk to him at first. But Marcus was patient. He learned which servants felt overlooked, which ones had been treated badly by the nobles. He listened to them, remembered their names, treated them like people instead of furniture. Slowly they started talking. He learned about old alliances, hidden debts, secret relationships. The court was full of secrets, and secrets were weapons. He also learned something else, something troubling. The Kelvoth separatists who had attacked the dinner. They shouldn't have been able to get inside the palace. The security was too good. Someone had helped them. Someone inside the royal family. Marcus brought his suspicions to Alindra late one night. Impossible, she said. No one in the royal house would work with separatists. It would mean civil war. Maybe someone wants civil war. Why would any of my sisters want that? We would all suffer. Not all of you. Someone might benefit. Someone who wants power but can't get it through normal channels. Alindra's patterns flickered. Understanding. Then denial. You're talking about Velthara. She's the heir. If the queen dies in chaos, she takes the throne. And if her sisters die too. No, Velthara is cold. Cruel, even. But she's not a traitor. Are you sure? Alindra said nothing for a long moment. Her patterns moved through colors Marcus had never seen before. Confusion, fear, doubt. I need proof, she finally said. I'll find it. She looked at him. Her eyes were different now. Not just bonded to him by biology. Something else was growing there. Something chosen. Why? She asked. Why do you care? You could leave. Refuse the choice. Accept whatever punishment comes. Why fight for a people who don't even see you as equal? Marcus thought about the question. He thought about Earth, about Alina, about all the reasons he should want to go home. Because you're worth fighting for, he said. All of you. Even the ones who hate me. Maybe especially them. Alindra stared at him. Her patterns blazed gold. Humans are strange, she said softly. Yeah, we are. She reached out and touched his hand. Her skin was cool and smooth. Her patterns flickered where they touched. Find your proof, she said. I'll protect you while you look. Marcus nodded. They had a deal. An alliance built on something stranger than politics, something that felt almost like trust. The game was changing. And for the first time since he arrived on Velcora Prime, Marcus felt like he might actually win. Marcus spent 2 weeks gathering evidence. He talked to servants. He studied security records. He tracked money and messages that the nobles thought were hidden. The Velcari were smart, ancient, powerful, but they had one weakness. They couldn't imagine betrayal from within. Their society was built on duty and honor. Treason simply didn't happen. So they didn't look for it. Marcus had grown up on Earth. He knew exactly how power corrupted people. He knew that the higher someone climbed, the harder they would fight to stay on top. Velthara was careful. She never met directly with the Kelvoth. She used intermediaries. She paid through hidden accounts. She sent messages that erased themselves after being read. But she made one mistake. She trusted her personal servant, a young Velcari named Korath, who had served her for 50 years. Korath handled her secret communications. He knew everything, and Korath was in love with a servant girl who worked in the lower palace. A girl who had been treated badly by Velthara. A girl who was willing to talk to the strange human who actually listened to servants. The evidence came together piece by piece. Communication records. Money transfers. A secret meeting planned for the night of the dinner attack. Everything pointed to Velthara. Marcus took his findings to Alindra first. She read everything. Her patterns shifted through grief and anger, and finally cold determination. We need to tell Mother, she said. Are you sure you want to do this? She's your sister. She tried to have me killed. She's planning to destroy everything my mother built. Alindra looked up at him. Her violet eyes were hard. She's not my sister anymore. She's the enemy. They requested a private audience with the Queen. It was granted immediately. The Queen had been watching Marcus for weeks. She was curious about what the human had discovered. The throne room was empty, except for the 3 of them. Queen Suratai sat on her crystal throne. Marcus and Alindra stood before her. You have something to show me, the Queen said. It wasn't a question. Marcus stepped forward. He presented the evidence. All of it. Communications, money trails, testimony from servants. The complete picture of Velthara's betrayal. The Queen read everything in silence. Her patterns never changed. Perfect gold and silver, moving in slow, controlled patterns. When she finished, she set the documents aside. You've done well, Commander, she said. Better than I expected. Something in her voice made Marcus pause. He looked at her more carefully. You knew, he said. The Queen smiled, cold, ancient. I have ruled for 300 years. Do you think anything happens in my palace without my knowledge? Alindra stepped forward. Her patterns flared red with shock. You knew Velthara was a traitor, and you did nothing? I suspected. I needed proof, and I needed to know something else. The Queen looked at Marcus. I needed to know which of my daughters would stand against her, and whether the human would be useful or merely decoration. Marcus felt anger rise in his chest. The attack at the dinner. You let it happen. I arranged it. The words hung in the air. Alindra made a sound like she had been struck. The assassins were mine, the Queen continued. Kelvoth mercenaries who thought they were working for the Separatists. They were never meant to succeed. They were meant to test loyalties, to see who would protect the royal blood and who would hesitate. People died, Marcus said. Your own guards. Yes, a necessary cost. The Queen's patterns never flickered. I am dying, Commander. I have perhaps 5 years left. Maybe less. When I go, my daughters will tear this empire apart fighting for the throne. I needed to know which one should succeed me. Which one could be trusted. She stood and walked down from her throne. She moved slowly. Marcus noticed things he had missed before. The slight stiffness in her movements. The way her patterns flickered at the edges. The ancient weariness in her eyes. Velthara showed her true nature, the Queen said. She chose treason. The Separatists were already her allies. She believes she can use them to secure her power. But they will use her instead. If she takes the throne, this empire will burn. What will you do? Alindra asked. What I must. Velthara will be exposed, punished, removed from the succession. The Queen looked at her youngest daughter, which creates a problem. The other daughters are loyal but weak. None of them can hold the throne against the challenges that will come. She turned to Marcus. Her ancient eyes studied him like he was a puzzle she was trying to solve. You were the variable I didn't anticipate, she said. A human, acting without calculation, risking everything for a stranger. My people have forgotten what that looks like. We live so long that we lose the ability to act without thinking about consequences. Everything becomes strategy. Everything becomes calculation. She stepped closer to him, close enough that he could see the golden light moving beneath her skin. I tested you, Commander. I used you. I put you in danger to see what you would do. And you responded by uncovering my daughter's treason, by protecting Alindra, by refusing to bend when the court tried to break you. What do you want from me? I want you to help me save this empire. She paused. Help me expose Velthara. Prevent the civil war she's planning. And I will release my claim on you. You will be free to choose. Leave and return to your people. Bond with Alindra if you both wish it. Or stay and serve as humanity's first true ally in the Dominion. Marcus looked at Alindra. She met his eyes. Her patterns were gold shot through with something else. Hope. How do we expose her? Marcus asked Dot before the Queen could answer. The lights went out. The palace plunged into darkness. Emergency lights flickered on, casting everything in dim red. A boom echoed through the building. Then another. Explosions. Coming from the landing platforms. She moved early, the Queen said. Her patterns finally showed emotion, surprise, and something that might have been fear. Guards burst through the doors. Your Majesty, the Kelva fleet has arrived. They're in orbit. Princess Velthara has seized the defense grid. Another explosion. Closer this time, the Queen turned to Marcus and Alindra. Run, both of you. Get to the secure wing. I will. The doors exploded inward. Velthara stepped through the smoke. She wore armor now, silver and black. Behind her stood a dozen Kelva soldiers. Their weapons were already raised. Hello, Mother, Velthara said. Her patterns were red, pure rage and triumph. I think it's time for a change in leadership. Guards rushed forward to protect the Queen. Velthara's soldiers cut them down in seconds. Marcus grabbed Alindra's arm. We need to go, now. They ran Dot behind them. Marcus heard Velthara's voice calling out. Find a 7th daughter and her pet human. Bring them to me alive. I want them to watch when I take the crown. The hunt had begun, and somewhere in the chaos, Marcus knew the future of an empire was balancing on a knife's edge. The palace had become a war zone. Marcus led Alindra through back corridors he had memorized during his weeks of investigation. Servants' paths, maintenance tunnels, Roots that the nobles didn't know existed because they never looked at the people who used them. Explosions shook the walls. The Kelvoth fleet was bombarding loyalist positions across the planet. Through windows, Marcus could see fire rising from the floating cities on the purple ocean. "Where are we going?" Alindra asked. "The human delegation quarters. If my people are still alive, they'll be there." They moved fast. Twice they had to hide as Kelvoth soldiers ran past. Marcus counted weapons, armor, numbers. The enemy had planned this well. They had forces throughout the palace, but they didn't know the building, like Marcus did. The human quarters were in the diplomatic wing. Marcus approached carefully. He saw bodies outside. Valkyrie guards. Dead. He also saw something else. Plasma burns on the walls. Signs of a fight. But the door to the human quarters was still standing. Marcus knocked. 3 quick taps. Pause. 2 more. The door opened. Sergeant Torres stood there, weapon raised. When she saw Marcus, her face split into a grin. "Commander, damn good to see you." Inside, the rest of his security team was alive. 6 soldiers. All armed. All ready to fight. "We tried to get to you," Torres said. "The palace went crazy. Hostiles everywhere. We fell back here and dug in. You should have evacuated." Torres shrugged. "Shuttle's been destroyed. Besides, you're one of ours. We don't leave our people." Behind, Marcus felt something warm spread through his chest. Pride, gratitude. He had almost forgotten what it felt like to stand with his own kind. "The princess needs to reach the old throne room," Marcus said. "Velthara is holding the queen there. We need to stop her. 7 of us against an army? 7 of us, some very angry Valkyrie loyalists, and the element of surprise." Marcus looked at his team, at these humans who had stayed to fight for him. "Are you with me?" Torres checked their weapon. "Always." They moved through the palace like ghosts. Marcus took point. He knew the terrain now. He knew where the enemies were concentrated. He led them around the main corridors, through the servant passages, deeper into the palace. Along the way, they gathered allies. Valkyrie guards who had escaped the initial attack. Servants who hated Velthara. Even some minor nobles who refused to bow to a traitor. By the time they reached the old throne room, Marcus had 50 fighters behind him. Not enough, but it would have to do. The old throne room was ancient. It had been the seat of power before the current palace was built. Now it was used for ceremonies. And apparently, for Velthara to declare her victory, Marcus could hear her voice through the doors. "The old order is finished. My mother is weak. She would let aliens pollute our bloodlines. She would see our empire fade into nothing. But I will make us strong again. I will unite with the Kelvoth. Together, we will rule this galaxy." Marcus looked at Alindra. "Ready?" Her patterns blazed gold. "End this." They hit the doors hard. The throne room erupted into chaos. Marcus led the charge, firing as he moved. His team spread out, professional, deadly. 20 years of combat experience against enemies who had never fought humans before. The Kelvoth fell back. They were good soldiers, but they had never seen humans fight. They didn't understand the ferocity, the refusal to stop, the willingness to take damage and keep coming. Marcus cut through them. His weapon ran empty. He grabbed a fallen Valkyrie blade. He kept fighting. He saw Alindra across the room. She fought with a grace he had never seen before. Her patterns shifted through colors like fire. She was beautiful, terrifying. And there, at the center of it all, was Velthara. She stood over Queen Saratai, who knelt on the floor. The queen was wounded. Dark blue blood stained her robes. Velthara saw Marcus coming. She raised her weapon, The human thinks he can stop me? She laughed. You live such short lives. 80 years of existence. What can you possibly understand about power? About legacy? About destiny? Marcus kept walking toward her. Guards tried to stop him. He went through them. You're right, he said. We don't live long. We don't have empires that last for thousands of years. We can't read each other's souls or see our destiny written in our skin. He blocked a blade, took a cut across his arm, kept moving. But that means every choice we make matters. Every person we protect, we choose to protect. Every love we have, we build from nothing. Another guard. Marcus broke his arm, took his weapon. We don't have time to calculate every outcome. We don't have centuries to wait for the perfect moment. We have to act now. We have to decide who we are in this moment, because this moment might be all we get. He stood before Velthara now. She was taller than him, stronger, faster. Her patterns burned red with rage. And what are you, human? In this moment? Marcus raised his blade. I'm the one who's going to stop you. Velthara attacked. She was good. 300 years of training. Valkyrie reflexes. Warrior instincts bred into her blood. Marcus was hurt, bleeding, tired, but he had something she didn't. He had nothing to lose. He had no destiny to protect, no centuries of life to preserve. He had only this moment, so he gave everything to it. The fight lasted 2 minutes. It felt like hours. Marcus took cuts, burns, a wound to his side that should have put him down. He didn't stop. He couldn't stop Dot, because if he stopped, Alindra would die. The Queen would die. The Empire would fall. And all of it would have been for nothing. He saw an opening. A moment when Velthora overextended, Dottie took it. His blade found her throat. She looked at him with wide eyes, shock, disbelief. She tried to speak, but the words wouldn't come. She fell. Silence spread through the throne room. The fighting stopped. Everyone stared at the human who stood over the body of the heir to the Valkyrie throne. Marcus dropped his blade. His legs gave out. He fell to his knees. Alindra was there, catching him, holding him. You did it, she whispered. You actually did it. Marcus looked up at her. Her patterns were so bright they were almost blinding. Told you, he said. His voice was weak. Humans are strange. The Kelvoth fleet retreated when they learned Velthara was dead. Their alliance had been with her, not with the Dominion. Without her, they had no claim, no purpose. In the weeks that followed, the Empire slowly healed. Queen Saratai recovered. She stood before her people and proclaimed what had happened. The traitor was dead. The threat was ended. Because of a human, the ceremony came a month later. Marcus stood in the throne room. The same room where he had nearly died twice. He was healed now. Valkyrie medicine had put him back together again. Queen Saratai looked at him from her throne. Her patterns were calm, gold and silver. But there was warmth in her eyes that hadn't been there before. Commander Marcus Cole, she said, you saved my life. You saved my daughter. You saved this empire. And you did it not for reward or power, but because it was right. She stood. She walked down from her throne. The entire court watched in silence. I release my claim on you, she said. You are free. The choice is yours. Marcus nodded. He turned to look at Alindra. She stood among the nobles, watching him. Her patterns were gold. Always gold. He walked to her. The court murmured. This was not protocol. This was not how things were done. Marcus didn't care. He stood before her. He took her hand. I don't have patents to show you what I feel, he said. No bioluminescence. No biological bond. So I'll have to show you the human way. One day at a time. For as long as I've got. Alindra stared at him. A tear rolled down her cheek. Her patterns blazed brighter than anyone had ever seen. Yes, she whispered. Yes. The court was silent. Then, slowly, Queen Suratai began to smile. The first genuine smile anyone could remember seeing on her face. Perhaps, she said softly, humanity will teach us something after all. 1 year later, Marcus served as consort to Princess Alindra and as the first human advisor to the Velkari Dominion. Trade between human space and the Empire flourished. Cultural exchanges began. Old suspicions slowly faded. Other species noticed. The Velkari had rejected outsiders for millennia. And now a human sat in their council. A human had married into their royal family. A human had changed their destiny. Word spread across the galaxy. Stories of the strange, short-lived species who kept stumbling into history, who refused to accept that some things were impossible, who fought with a ferocity that made no logical sense. And somewhere out in the stars, other empires began to wonder, what else might humans be capable of? They would find out soon enough. The humans were just getting started.